Alien commander learns why humans never back down. The observation deck of the Zarathian flagship hummed with energy as Commander Kalara stood before the viewing screen, watching the small human vessel drift closer through the void of space. She had seen countless species surrender at the mere sight of her fleet. Yet these humans had responded to her demand with something unexpected: laughter. Kalara was a warrior born into a race that had conquered 40 star systems through superior strength and advanced weaponry. Standing at nearly 8 feet tall with silver skin that gleamed under the ship lights and eyes that burned like molten gold, she had never known defeat. The human ship was laughable in comparison, barely larger than one of her scout vessels and armed with weapons that her scanners deemed primitive. When the communication channel opened again, a voice came through, calm and almost amused. It was a human female named Lisa Morgan, captain of the vessel, called Dawn Runner Commander. "Kalara, this is your final warning," said Lisa, her tone carrying no fear whatsoever. "Withdraw your forces or face the consequences." The Zarathian bridge crew erupted in clicking laughter, their mandibles chattering in disbelief. Kalara leaned forward, studying the human face on the screen. Lisa had brown hair tied back in a simple knot and green eyes that held an unsettling confidence. "You threaten me with that tiny vessel?" asked Kalara, her voice resonating with authority. "Your ship has no shields, capable of withstanding even one blast from our weapons. Your hull is made of materials we stopped using 3 centuries ago." Lisa smiled, and it was not a nervous smile, but one that made Kalara feel something she had not experienced in years. "Uncertainty, Commander. How about we settle this a different way," said Lisa. "I challenge you to a race through the asteroid field beyond this sector. If I win, you and your entire fleet leave this system and never return. If you win, we surrender without a fight or race." The concept was so absurd that Kalara almost terminated the communication immediately. But something in the human eyes stopped her. The Zarathian culture valued strength above all else, but they also valued honor in combat. A challenge issued and accepted was sacred. "Very well, human," said Kalara, her pride refusing to back down from such an insult. "You will pilot your vessel and I will take my personal fighter. We race through the asteroid field to the marker beacon on the far side, first to reach it." Lisa nodded. "Deal, Commander, but I want to make it more interesting. If I win, I get anything I want." Kalara bared her teeth in what her species considered a smile. "Agreed, and when I win, your entire crew will serve as laborers in our mining colonies." The channel closed and Kalara turned to her second-in-command, a younger warrior named Thessa. "This is madness." "Commander," said Thessa, "the human cannot possibly win. Our fighters are designed for speed and maneuverability." Kalara agreed, but something nagged at her. She had studied many species before conquering them, and humans were different. They did not surrender easily. They fought with a stubbornness that bordered on insanity, even when victory was impossible. Within the hour, both vessels were positioned. At the entrance to the asteroid field, Kalara sat in her personal fighter, a sleek craft built from materials harvested from collapsed stars. Its engines could accelerate to speeds that would tear apart most organic beings, and its navigation systems could calculate thousands of trajectories per second. She watched as the human ship maneuvered into position. The Dawn Runner looked even more pathetic up close. Its hull was scarred from countless battles, and its engines sputtered with an efficiency that made Kalara wince. The countdown began. 3, 2, 1. Both vessels shot forward into the asteroid field. Kalara immediately pushed her fighter to maximum acceleration. The asteroids became blurs as her ship weaved between them with mechanical precision. Her navigation computer highlighted the optimal path forward, adjusting in real time to account for the shifting rocks. She glanced at her scanner, expecting to see the human vessel falling behind. Instead, Lisa was right beside her. The Dawn Runner twisted and turned through the asteroids with movements that defied logic. The ship rolled upside down, slipped through a gap that seemed impossibly narrow, then boosted forward with a burst of speed that should not have been possible from such primitive engines. Kalara narrowed her eyes and pushed harder. Her fighter responded, cutting through the field with ruthless efficiency. She took a sharp turn around a massive rotating asteroid, using its gravity to slingshot forward. The human ship followed, but took a different route entirely. Lisa aimed straight for a cluster of smaller asteroids, and instead of going around, she went through them. The Dawn Runner fired its forward weapons, pulverizing the rocks in its path and creating a tunnel of debris that it shot through like a bullet. Kalara's mandibles clicked in frustration. The human was not flying with precision. She was flying with instinct. The asteroid field grew denser as they approached the center. Kalara calculated 17 different paths forward, each one requiring split-second timing. She chose the safest one and accelerated. Lisa chose none of them. The human ship angled downward, diving beneath the main cluster of asteroids where the gaps were tighter. But the obstacles fewer. Kalara realized too late what the human was doing. By the time she adjusted her course, Lisa had gained a significant lead. The Zarathian commander snarled and pushed her engines beyond their recommended limits. The fighter screamed in protest, but obeyed, closed the distance rapidly, her superior technology finally showing its advantage. They were neck and neck again, weaving through spinning rocks and explosive gas pockets that erupted from unstable asteroids. Then Kalara saw it. Ahead was a massive asteroid nearly the size of a moon, slowly rotating in their path. There was no way around it in time. The only route was a narrow canyon that split through its center, but the canyon was filled with jagged outcroppings and collapsing rock formations. Kalara's computer immediately calculated that entering the canyon at their current speed was suicide. She began to decelerate, preparing to navigate carefully. Lisa did not slow down. The Dawn Runner aimed straight for the canyon and accelerated harder. Kalara watched in disbelief as the human ship entered the deadly passage. The vessel rolled and twisted, avoiding collisions by mere inches. Lisa piloted with a recklessness that bordered on madness, flying upside down, sideways, and at angles that should have torn the ship apart. Kalara made her decision. If the human could do it, so could she. She aimed her fighter at the canyon and followed. The passage was hell rocks scraped against her hull. Alarms blared warnings in her cockpit, and twice she nearly collided with formations that appeared without warning. But she kept going, driven by pride and the burning need to defeat this impossible human. When she emerged from the canyon, Lisa was already ahead. Approaching the marker beacon, Kalara roared and pushed every system to maximum. Her fighter surged forward, closing the gap with terrifying speed. They were both racing toward the beacon, now side by side, engines screaming and hulls glowing from the heat. 50 meters, 40 meters, 30 meters. Kalara reached out with her fighter's tractor beam, trying to slow the human vessel, but Lisa cut power entirely, letting her ship drift forward on momentum alone. The tractor beam missed. 20 meters, 10 meters. Both ships crossed the finish line simultaneously. Kalara slammed her fist against the console, demanding her computer provide an analysis. The results appeared on her screen. The human vessel had crossed 0.003 seconds before hers. Lisa had won. Kalara sat in stunned silence, her mind struggling to process the defeat. The communication channel opened and Lisa's face appeared on the screen. Good race, Commander said, the human still smiling. Kalara felt rage boiling inside her, but beneath it was something else. Respect, you have won. Human, said Kalara, her voice tight as agreed. My fleet will leave the system and never return. Lisa shook her head. Actually, Commander, I want something different. Kalara frowned. What do you want? I want you to stop conquering innocent species, said Lisa, her tone now serious. I want you to use your strength to protect instead of dominate. There are threats out there far worse than either of us, and the galaxy needs warriors like you fighting for something better. The Zarathian commander stared at the human for a long moment. No one had ever asked her to change, not to surrender, not to serve, but to become something more. Why do you care? Asked Kalara. Because, said Lisa, that is what humans do. We do not just survive. We make things better. Kalara leaned back in her seat, considering the words. She had spent her entire life following a code of conquest, believing strength was the only thing that mattered. But this human with her fragile ship and impossible courage had shown her something different. Very well, said Kalara. Finally, I accept your terms. Lisa grinned. Welcome to the Alliance, Commander, as the Zarathian fleet turned away from the system. Kalara allowed herself a small smile. She had lost the race, but perhaps she had won something far more valuable. And as she watched the Dawn Runner disappear into the stars, she realized that humans were not just survivors. They were the ones who taught others how to live.